Our language and the way we talk about money can have a huge impact on our mindset and ultimately our financial well being. It can shape our thoughts and beliefs about it, which in turn will influence our behavior and decisions. So, if you want to take control of your money, you have to be mindful of the words that you use. So, here are a few phrases to remove from your financial vocabulary. The first thing is, I can't afford it. Now, saying this is often seen as a responsible way to handle money or the lack of it. And in the past, I've even encouraged embracing this phrase as a way to be realistic about your situation and to set financial boundaries. And I don't think this wording is something that you should completely remove from your vocabulary, but I do think it might be helpful to make a concerted effort to say it less. Because when you constantly tell yourself that you can't afford something, or if you think that you'll never be able to afford it, this can trigger feelings of limitation, and you might start to believe that you're incapable of achieving your goals. So basically, this reinforces a scarcity mindset, which can lead to missed opportunities and a lack of motivation to make positive changes, meaning you're less likely to find ways to increase your income or to cut back on unnecessary expenses. So instead of always defaulting to the phrase, I can't afford it, one thing you might try instead is saying, I'm choosing not to spend my money on that right now, or I'm prioritizing other expenses at the moment. And this shift in language might seem minor, but if you trust the process and you give it a try, you might start to feel more in control of your finances. Also, saying I need it is a common justification that many people use to convince themselves that a purchase is necessary. Now, obviously, there are certainly things we do need in life. However, you might fail to consider the true cost of an item or how the purchase will impact your financial well-being. Plus, this phrase often leads to impulse purchases and overspending. So if you catch yourself saying, I need it, challenge yourself to think more critically about your purchases. And one of the easiest ways to do this is just to ask yourself a few simple questions. For example, is this something I could borrow, rent, or buy secondhand instead of buying new? Is this the best option for me? Or are there cheaper alternatives available? And also, can I afford it without going into debt or sacrificing other important expenses? And one thing that you can do instead of saying I need something is to try using phrases like I would really like to have it, or I think it would be nice to have. Another phrase to remove from your financial vocabulary is I deserve it. And we've all probably been there, where we're standing in front of something shiny or maybe a designer item and we think this to ourselves. Now, I believe in the occasional splurge and treating yourself, but the problem with this phrase is that many people overuse it. And if you do this, you're basically telling yourself that you're entitled to something just because you want it, and you're not thinking about whether it's a wise use of your money or how it'll affect your finances. Bottom line is that this is really just another justification for overspending and unhealthy money habits. So the goal here is really to shift your mindset from one of entitlement to mindfulness. And a few things that you can say to yourself to help do this include, I value my financial well-being and need to make a responsible decision. Also, I'm going to wait and think about it before making a purchase. And finally, I'm choosing to prioritize my long-term goals over short-term gratification. And again, it's perfectly okay to treat yourself from time to time. We all work hard, so it doesn't have to be all work and no play, but it is important to do it within your means and with intentions. Also, if you see something you want, but you don't have money for it, you might think, I'll just put it on my credit card and pay it off later. It can seem like such a simple solution at the time, but while there's nothing wrong with using a credit card, this can become a problem when you're using them to make impulsive or unnecessary purchases and when you're unable to manage the debt. So as a general rule of thumb, before you buy something, especially if it's something that's unplanned, if you catch yourself thinking or even saying that you will pay it off later, 9 times out of 10, you cannot afford that item today. Because once you get into this cycle of buying things that you don't need on credit, it is very hard to break out of it. And yes, saving up to buy something you really want might mean waiting a few weeks or months, but this is a decision that you will not regret, I promise you. I've never heard a person who delayed instant gratification say, I wish I would have bought it earlier and gotten myself into unnecessary debt. But on the opposite, I've seen many people who did get into debt later regret it. Another phrase to remove from your vocabulary is "I'm just bad with money," which is what some people say to explain their financial struggles. And personally, I don't like this wording because nobody is born knowing how to manage money. This is something that happens over time through education, practice, and discipline. And what I'm about to say might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel that when some people always default to, "Oh, I'm just bad with money," I feel that whether they realize it or not, they are giving themselves permission to continue to make poor financial decisions. And this is not about income, because there are people who earn more than enough who are up to their eyeballs in credit card debt because of overspending. And on the flip side, there are people who don't earn a lot who make the best financial decisions they can given their circumstances. So even though things might be tight for them due to a lower income and inflation, the difference is that they stick to a budget, they know where their money goes, and they're taking small steps to improve their finances. At the end of the day, being bad with money is not a personality trait. So instead of saying or thinking to yourself that you're bad with money, so there's no point in trying, commit to making positive changes, which can include creating a budget, tracking your spending, or seeking out financial education resources. Another phrase to remove is "I'll never be able to save enough," because you're essentially giving up before you even start. The truth is, saving money is a journey that takes time and effort. And it's not only about reaching a specific number or amount, but also about building healthy financial routines. So instead of saying, "I will never save enough," focus on the small steps that you are able to take at the moment. Realistically, you might not be in a position to save $500 a month, but you might be able to save $50 a month or $12.50 a week. And I realize that that might not seem like a lot, but what you're doing is building momentum. Because when you start to see progress, you'll feel more motivated to continue working towards your goal. And once you've adjusted to saving a certain amount, gradually increase it. So you can go from $12.50 a week to $15 a week, and then $20 and so forth. And this also applies to investing. When you don't know that much about investing, it's easy to assume that you need a lot to get started. I thought this when I was younger, but the truth is anyone can invest their money no matter their income. So this isn't something that's only reserved for high earners or the financially savvy. You can set aside $25 or $50 a month and consider low-cost investments such as index funds or ETFs, and you can also get your feet wet with micro-investing. If you use an investing platform like Acorns and link your debit or credit card to your account, they'll round up your purchases to the nearest dollar and invest the difference. Plus, you can make recurring or one-time contributions into your account at any time starting at $5. I personally use this and I think it's an excellent way to get started as a beginner. So if you're interested, I will include a link below. So that's all that I have for you guys today. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and also subscribe if you like personal finance and you want to see more videos like this. I typically post every weekend, so thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in a few days.